Morning world, it's about 8:45 a.m. in the morning on the 29th of October 2020. Which is a brief video. It's a kind of addition to one I did yesterday on the full moon. We're now about 2 days away. The full moon's on the 31st of October. It's at 8 degrees of Taurus. In the last couple of days, I seem to have been doing lots and lots of readings for people with either the sun, the moon, the ascendant or the midheaven at 8 degrees of the fixed signs. So if you're one of those people who's born around January the 27th to the 29th or April the 28th to the 30th or July the 30th, 31st to 1st of August, or October the 30th, 31st or the 1st of November, then you're getting hit pretty big at the moment by Uranus all of this year, from about April, May of this year through to February, March of next year. And there's lots of unpredictable changes and disruption going on. And of course, this is then reverberating and echoing into everybody's lives around you, and thus the world. So there's lots of big changes going on. But this full moon is like the pimple on top of the boil. It's the one that's going to bring everything to a head. Now, I noticed yesterday that Germany went into almost total lockdown again. Italy is about to go into total lockdown again. France did go into total lockdown yesterday. Britain has total lockdown in many places. America, Trump says there's no virus and it's okay and we're beating the virus and it's all going to be fine and we're not going into lockdown even though 1,000 people a day are dying. Okay. It seems that the civil unrest is getting worse and worse. There's riots in Italy, shops being looted. And on the one hand, it's the work of a lot of people who just don't want to play by the rules and don't want to be locked down and would rather run the risk of infecting themselves and others around them because their personal freedoms are at stake. But these are fortunately becoming increasingly the minority. I actually think we're at the peak of this right now. From an astrological perspective, I hope and pray that the more we get into the second half of November, we're going to start seeing the numbers decrease globally. I draw comfort when I look at the state of Australia, who went on a total lockdown, quite a savage one, but they've now almost eradicated the virus. It's summer down there. The virus doesn't do well in the summer. The thing is, today the moon is in Aries. And it's now, as I speak, around 11 degrees of Aries, and it's approaching Mars. And over the next 12 to 16 hours, the moon is going to be conjunct. Well, the moon's going to be conjunct Mars for the next 24 hours. Loosely, weakly, and strongly in the middle in about 12 hours from now. So the potential for rash behaviour, impulsive, volatile, irritating and frustrating actions driven by impatience of restriction is more likely than normal. So, on the one hand, the intelligent people who are going to be watching the news and looking out at what's going out of their windows are going to be seeing people there's going to be a bit more car crashes, horns sounding, people shouting at each other. There's going to be a degree more irritation and impatience on the streets, yes. But the intelligent people here will realise, okay, if I choose deliberately not to let my buttons get pushed, if I deliberately choose to back off and walk away and say, I'll deal with this tomorrow, not today, or even in 2 or 3 days' time after the full moon, you'll be doing yourself a big favour. And there is another way. The moon's conjunct Mars in Aries. Look at the area of your chart that's got Aries in it and early Taurus. Look at the house or houses in your chart that this is operating in. And if you're able to ride this wave of energy, then you can get a hell of a lot done in a short space of time. This is a great time for, on the one hand, having a great deal of dynamic, projective and assertive physical energy. And I stress projective and assertive as opposed to confrontational and aggressive. And with the full moon, it's also a great time for sort of especially those people with the dates I've already mentioned, it's a great time for sort of looking at your lives so far and thinking, you know what? Time for a change. And not so much making radical changes, but making radical changes up here. Because this is a seeding time. This is a time where new ideas, visions, dreams, possibilities start flowering. And as we get into the end of the year and we get out the Mercury and Mars retrograde and then Jupiter and Saturn move into Aquarius, I suggest that a lot of those dreams, visions and ideas are going to change into blueprints, schedules and plans, and that next year there's a possibility for a lot of new actions in ways that at the moment we've not been able to consider. Now it may be that I'm just a sickening optimist, but I'm aware of quite a few people, both clients and one or two close friends, who have caught COVID to various levels of degree. One or two of them very seriously indeed. And there's a couple of my clients at the moment in America, I'm only going to mention a first name, Nancy, I've got your back, who are suffering very badly with COVID. And my thoughts and prayers go out to them. Obviously, I'm lighting a candle for them and I'm wishing the best for everyone. But the next couple of days are critical. And it's not so much about buying into the headless chicken mode that's going to be going out there on the streets. Whether you're in Britain, Italy, America, Brazil, doesn't matter. Don't buy into the hype and spin. Instead, use this next 2 or 3 days as a kind of relaunch point inside yourself. Look at what you've done so far and ask yourself, are you content and satisfied with the patterns that have happened so far? Quite a few people, 25% of people, seem to be actually doing okay under the lockdown, the restrictions with COVID, and they're actually turning it around and making their lives a lot better. But even with these people, there's a chance to upgrade that potential. This next 48 to 72 hours has a massive upgrade potential. And if you can ride the energy which would normally turn into anger and frustration and instead turn it into something that's being positive, projective and assertive, you're capable individually and collectively of turning this thing around and coming at it from a much more positive way. Because at the end of the day, yes, there may or may not be vaccines. There are good medicines, both allopathic and naturopathic. But positive mental attitude gives you an extra 10%. Or you can buy into the poor me, I've got to go to a hospital and doctor and get lots of treatment and help and I'm powerless. Positive mental attitude, folks. Find the humour, even through the tears. Bounce. This next 3 days is a chance to reboot. Catch you later, world. Bye.